Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Bladensburg Council Work Session. This meeting is being called to order November the 13th at 5:30 p.m. And first, I would like to go over a little housekeeping. I am acting Mayor Pro Tem. Can you still hear us? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Today, I, Councilmember Trina Brown, am acting Mayor Pro Tem in the absence of Mayor James. The mayor has requested to be excused from the council work session and council meeting due to work-related matters. So I would like to call for the vote and motion to approve the request to excuse Mayor Takesha James from council work session and council meeting due to work-related matters.
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt.
I second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any abstentions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor. Let it be known by the all in favor. Let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion approved. Thank you so very much. All right. Next, we will have approval of the agenda. So I would like to call for the vote. Motion to approve the agenda.
I so moved.
So moved by Councilmember Blunt.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any abstentions or discussions? Hearing none. All in favor. Let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Approved. Motion has been approved. All right. We're moving right along, huh? All right. Next, we're going to have approval of the minutes for October 9th, 2023 work session minutes. So call for the vote. Motion to approve the October 9th, 2023 minutes.
I so moved.
So moved by Councilmember Blunt.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any abstentions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion approved. Appearances, none today. Old business. Yay. So down to old business. Board of Election Supervisors update.
Good evening, Mayor Council.
Thank you.
For the opportunity to present today. My name is Michelle Bailey Hedgepeth. I'm the Town Administrator. On November 1st, 2023 at 3:30 p.m., the Board of Election Supervisors met online to discuss a few items. They had their general call to order. They did an election 2023 recap. They discussed future election policies and procedures for improvement. And then they had some general discussions. As part of that meeting, that updated, some of the information that was shared was an updated policies and procedures, a draft candidate handbook that was developed by Clerk Charnovich. A process for looking at mail-in drop box ballots was discussed. Some timelines on application filing and absentee ballots. The town attorney was present and was able to answer some of the questions on this. This idea of mail-in ballot format and the mailing, the need for a larger envelope that affidavits and ballots could be sent together. That's something that basically the board felt very strongly about. They thought that we needed to have a more comprehensive envelope in ways because that issue where they were separated was a problem. They also talked about the next steps and a timeline to bring things back to the council. They will be meeting again in late November, early December, so that they can bring items to the council periodically. It's probably going to take some months to kind of go through some of these things, but what staff's going to do, they requested, is that we put together some information from other towns and cities that have strong election protocols. So we will bring that to the board, and we'll also share that with the council once we get that information. And then we will then start to bring you some reports on a monthly basis. Hopefully that we'll be able to meet with both groups by early spring so that you can have information. But they're very active in meeting, and staff will be putting together items for you. Attached to your agenda item, I attached the actual copy of the agenda itself, the election timelines that were developed by Mr. Charnovich, and just some information, and again, my summary of what happened. I just wanted to make sure that I shared that with the council. I know that the citizens are very intent and they want to make sure that we're following up on this. And all those meetings will be posted and the recording is available of that meeting so that citizens can always see what happened.
Any questions from the council?
I have none.
Okay, go ahead, Councilmember McBride. Yes. Oh, you have none? Oh, okay. One of the things now, in terms of, I know that there were some concerns from residents, and are those concerns being addressed too, like an additional voting machine to make sure that the machine's down, that we have a backup machine, and also, I think you probably mentioned that the mailing in of the absentee ballots. I think there was a little confusion there with the absentee ballots, kind of looking at revisiting that process as well.
Yes, yes, ma'am. So part of the discussions that the Board of Election Supervisors discussed was the idea of having a drop box, which would eliminate the mailing a secured election drop box that you see in other municipalities. So something like that for rental, so that people could all mail or they could drop them in a secured drop box. The other idea, which you were mentioning, is that in regards to the way that we talked about the way the ballot was actually formatted, so that we have a better formatting of the ballot. And I think the last thing that you were mentioning in regards to, I think it was a process, Councilwoman. I just want to make sure that I'm addressing the third one. I thought I started with the Dropbox, but I think
The third machine,
the extra machine,
an extra
that
voting machine.
we rented 3 voting machines for this last election. We had 2 that were operational and 1 as a backup, so that if one broke, they was always ready, and we did not end up using that third voting machine. So as a practice, we've always had 3 voting machines. For an election our size, that is more than adequate. Because we basically scan our ballots. It's not that you're entering them in. So even when you have 2 or 3 people, we had at least 4 or 5 areas that people could vote in securely, and then it would just, the voting machine itself tallies and scans the things. So we've always had 3. One was always plugged in into the side, just in case the other ones broke. The reason why we used 1 was because we did a count on 1, the second was a backup, and then the third was a backup upon the backup. So we did use 1 most of the time, but there was always a second available for us to use.
Now, also, do you think it would be feasible for us to look at, because, and I know that usually during the mayoral election, the cycles, there are a lot more people. So do you think it would be feasible to have 2 machines for Ward 1 and 2 for Ward 2 to get people in and out quicker? Or am I being hopeful that, we're going to have a real influx of voters?
I believe that the voting from the last election to this election was actually pretty similar. We had about 300 votes cast in both elections, 350 to 400 votes cast. We can always look at renting an additional machine. I don't think it expands our cost that much to have an additional machine, just in case if we wanted to run 2 at a time. So it's not something that's not feasible, and it's something that we could take a look at. It's just, I think from the standpoint of voters getting in and out faster, I don't think the voting machines are what slows them down. I think it was the process of being able to verify voters. And we're going to look at that issue, because it's more the fact that when you come in and if there's something that's not on, if you're not on the rolls, you have an issue. So that's the slowdown. It's not the actual voting, because it's only 1-2 clicks. It's a person
Right.
and you're 2. So it's not that issue, but I think what you're right is that we need to, which is what we're looking at, is making sure that our rolls that everybody's on the rolls, making sure that we don't have any issues with the ballots themselves. The absentee ballots, I think, were more problematic because we did not have, the affidavits and the ballots themselves were getting separated. And so
Yes, that
having them
process.
together is a big issue that we
Okay.
need, that we're going to fix.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilman. Blunt.
I have 2 questions. Will a staff member or someone from Board of Election come to the senior buildings like before and bring their absentee ballots so they can vote there, opposed to mailing them back in?
So the issue that we're trying to get at is whether or not that we can either have where people can drop them in our actual drop box so that they can be. I don't know. I want to make sure that we don't set up something where we're having a person to take someone else's votes and bring them back and forth. But what we'll do is we'll look at that issue. If someone from Board of Elections does not compromise the process by picking them up from the seniors and taking them and bringing them to the town hall. I don't think that should. It just couldn't be a staff member, if that makes sense.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I know before it was a staff, it was actually town administrator.
Town clerk.
I'm just.
Yeah,
clerk.
so
It was
I
Pat.
want to
Call
make
it
sure that if I can, that it's not me picking them up, if that's.
It was the
Okay,
town,
okay,
it was the
yeah.
town clerk.
Town clerk, yeah, so we will look in that issue to make sure that people can have a safe place to drop them off. I think what we want to do is that if they're dropped to town hall, that they could be in a secure place at town hall, that that is sealed and locked, that people have confidence in.
And I do believe both of those papers can fit in one envelope. And, I mean, if you could put a stamp on it, it'd be, it'd help the senior residents. I'm like, we gotta put a stamp on this, you know?
I know.
I'm just.
You know, the thing about it is we hadn't done these stamped before. We had done it before. Yeah, your mic wasn't on. The issue that what we are trying to do is that we're also trying to make it so that we can use this Dropbox, because I've found in other municipalities now that people are really getting used to these big locked drop boxes. And then we won't need the stamps, but what we'd like to do is create a larger envelope that can fit both envelopes in there so that you can have them both together. So hopefully but that mailing that might cost more than our, 55 or 57 cents.
It would.
So we understand, we're cognizant of that.
Okay. I'm good.
So those are, but you'll be able to see all of those options, and you can give us direction on those options as well.
Councilmember McBride? And, but to that, just real quick, and maybe like during the past, I don't, either the presidential or the gubernatorial election, they had those secured drop boxes,
Yes.
you know, throughout places in certain areas. So I don't know, maybe it's some of the senior buildings or something. Maybe one of the drop boxes, the secured boxes could be, you know, dropped off there, placed there for. But it's just something else to.
Yeah,
put on
we're gonna investigate
take
how
a
much
look
it
at.
costs to rent those.
Right, yeah.
Or if it's worth it for the town to purchase them. And I think that's the cost that we'll be able to bring you back. Because if the town owns them, it would be one cost. If we can rent them from the Board of Elections and we can put them places, then that would be, but we'll have to look into what that cost is. Because you're right, the Board of Elections owns those, and whether or not they'd be willing to allow us to use those would be something that we do, or do they rent them? I'm not sure. That's what
Right,
we
yeah.
are gonna research.
Okay, all right. Thank you so very much for that. Anything else from the council? Okay. All right, next, we're into new business. So next, we will have the flood barrier project update.
Yes, and I'm looking for Ms. Smith from DPWT, who's going to be on the line. I don't see her yet. Do you see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, because I understand what the presentation is, and then I'll give her some time to get on the line.
Okay.
So the flood barrier project and presentation from Prince George's County, this is something that the council has been working on for the last, actually, few years. And I wanted to kind of go back to say, like, I went back to the initial information on the proposed project that Michael Johnson presented to you. So basically it says, DPWD proposes a project that provides a much-needed relief to residential structures in Bladensburg that have suffered repetitive flood loss. The project is a complicated one requiring close collaboration between legislative and administrative authorities in Prince George's County. So over the last few months, what the council has done is that we've had a series of meetings with residents in various parts of Ward 1, mostly in Ward 1, along the Edmonston Road channel, and what is also known as the Quincy Run channel. The Edmonston Road channel runs along the lower areas of 5411 Taylor Street, 5408 Taylor Street, 5416 Spring Road. It goes along Spring Avenue, Tosick, Taylor again. And so what it does is that we're looking at a system which Ms. Smith has presented a couple times to the council that would have enhanced flood barriers in those areas along that channel. On the Quincy Run area that flow behind 55th and 52nd Avenue, there are 14 multifamily units that have been impacted by excessive flows from that creek, and they're looking at an estimated 200 acres of drainage in that area. So what the county is looking for and what they're going to be embarking upon are some letters to residents in regards to right-of-way entry for that. And so that's really what the next step is. There's a presentation that's in the council packets, which has been presented to the council over the last couple of months, that has some of the issues on the historic rainfall in the region. It has some information in regards to the locations of the flood barriers and the types of flood barriers. I can show some of those, but what Ms. Smith is really here to talk about, or what she wanted to make sure that we understood, is that they are going to be approaching residents in those areas. They're going to be sending them letters in regards to the flood barrier, and they're going to be checking in on, whether or not people allow that right-of-way entry. And that's really what this is in regards to. Hopefully she'll be on today. Let me just make sure that I'm viewing everybody.
Thank you.
But that's a general overview of her presentation. No, she's not on yet. She was out of town today, and she was going to try to join us at 5:30. So if you'd like, we can come back to this so that if anybody has any questions for her, they can ask her those questions. But that's the general overview of the presentation. And if you have questions for me, I think I can answer some of them. I'm not a flood barrier expert, but I can answer as much as I can for you this evening.
Any questions from the council?
No.
So, Mrs. Bailey Hedgepeth, I would, because I know that there was we had a couple of unprecedented rain events, which really precipitated looking into these flood barriers again in our area. In terms of, and we've had a couple of meetings with residents as well. So, is there going to be, I guess, another meeting with residents, or are they just going to send out notices to the residents? Because number one, we do know that all of the residents were impacted, but mainly the residents where they were impacted directly by the flood, by the waters within their homes and their condos and their residences. So, are they going to send notices out just to?
They're going to send out the right-of-way notices now. So this is
only
the last.
Only to the residents who were impacted?
To the impacted residents, yes, ma'am. So that's what the next step is that this was one of the last reach outs to let people know. And again, that's why it's good that we're recording this meeting, is so that we can, in some ways, if there are questions after this, that this will be out and that we can answer, I can forward those questions to Ms. Smith and to the Department of Public Works and Transportation in regards to the project. But they are seeking those right-of-way entry agreements starting right now. This is where, this is our next step, because we've gone through it for the very first meeting I think that I had with you all is back in August of 2023. And we've had this as a presentation in September, and then now again in November. They'd like to get these right-of-way agreements out so that they can start the project sooner than later. And it's a split between the county and the town of Bladensburg. We are providing some funding, I believe, from ARPA for this. And so it's a very extensive project. So they just want to make sure that we've answered any questions and that they are available after this, but this is when they're going to start the project.
Okay, yeah, and time sensitive as well. And in terms of, because I do know that other residents who were not directly impacted they still want to get notification and see what's going on. But I think that information is probably going out in our town newsletter, and that information is in the town newsletter.
Yeah, we'll share project updates as the project goes forward, but at this point, they basically need to start with the right-of-way entry process.
Yes, yes.
But updates will be available to the public on what's going on with the project periodically, and we'll make sure that we can keep it in the town newsletter, and we'll keep people informed of it. It's just at this point, from the standpoint of council, they wanted to make the public announcement that they are going to start that right-of-way entry process.
Okay, thank you. All right, okay, next on the agenda, we have Bostwick House updates.
It feels like the me show today, but I guess it's always the me show. Okay, hold on one second. I'm gonna, all right. Yes, we do. We do. It's gonna actually, Mr. Parker is here with me too, so I'm going to, but it's not just the me show. I'm gonna start it off for you guys so that, and then I'll have Mr. Parker to help me when I mess up through this, so please. Okay. I'm sharing it, right? Okay, so you should see this very shortly on the screen. Okay. So this is Bostwick House. So this is the Bostwick House update. I've been very lucky to work with Mr. Sam Parker on this project and with the other people from the Amen Trust and along with our town staff. Vito Tonelli has actually worked really hard with me on this project. He is not feeling well tonight, and I know that he's online watching this. I can see him on the thing. So, hello, Vito. So, number 2, just a little background and background on the project. We'll talk about some of the some of the issues with the house, some current actions, and then today's next steps and information for the council. I'm going a little slower because there's a lag. Oops. So the background, as everybody knows, Bladensburg is a very historic community, and going back pre the War of 1812. But I mean, that's in school, I guess, when you learn about the War of 1812. I didn't realize when I learned about it that I learned about the White House, but I didn't learn about Bladensburg, and I've learned a lot more since I've been here. So the port towns adjacent and the communities have been working to coordinate on the preservation of this property over the last 35 years. The council bought the property in 1996, and we've owned it in since that point. Let me see. Issues. There's been a partial restoration to the roof, chimneys, but there are continued deteriorations in the structure, interior, and some of the landscaping grounds. Bostwick currently provides few benefits to Bladensburg residents because it's not open. You know, people see it and it's great, but they really don't know that it's public property. There's some ways that it's a sort of a visual eyesore, even though it's a nice area from the standpoint of having a large house in an area that's so dense. The building interior is not usable, and it's not safe for public events. So, what do we've got? What's going on now? So there's some stabilizations on the house and grounds. We have bond bill funding for $500,000, and there's some projects that are underway. I'm going to go through that with you. Mr. Parker corrected me that I kind of have MMPC lumped in for about $150,000, but to be more correct, there's Maryland MANHA. That's 43. Maryland Historic Trust has some money in this as well, MHT, and some of it is Maryland National Park and Planning. But that is mostly for the buttress project that we've been working on for the last several years. Am I correct in that, Mr. Parker? Okay, great. We're looking at a land use and a mini tap process, which I will explain a little bit more in spring of 2024. We're looking at an RFP for the readaptive uses for the community, which is out on the streets now, and RFPs are due back in December. So hopefully in spring 2024, we'll actually have some information for you on that. And then there's a long-term plan for the financial sustainability of the project that we'll be working with Amen Trust, and we'll be working on for the council so that you can see what we're going to do with the house. Let me make sure I'm going. Okay, so today's actions and next steps. We would like to hire an architect who has worked on this property and other historic properties, Mr. Kaywood. And we're also going to we'd like to hire a contractor to help to consult on these stabilization projects that are using bond bill funding. Attached to this item is a 8-page, I think it's 8 to 10 pages of items that we see are stabilization issues that will be addressed with bond bill funding. All of these are things that need to be done, and it's not like I can go to Home Depot and do them. So they have to be done very, very carefully, and we need an architect and we need specific types of contractors because things have to be replaced in regards to the historic standards, and there's processes with Maryland Historic Trust, and the Amen Trust has been great partners in helping us through that process. So it's not like I can slap some paint on something and make it look a little better. I've got to slap a special kind of paint, and I've got to do a special kind of door, and I've got to do a special kind of process. So that's what we'll be working on with Mr. Kaywood, and that's on your regular agenda. And we're also going to continue to work with the Amen Trust to see what they get back with their architect and their use RFP and bring that back to the council. And then we will also start to provide more updates on the project itself to the council. And I think that's it. That's everything. I just did 4 simple slides. It's really more for the council to ask any questions of myself. Mr. Parker is here today. And I just wanted to be able to, thank him and Amen Trust publicly for their assistance over the last few months with me being new. We've met, I guess, almost every 2 weeks. When I was saying we just met him in person for the first time today, I've seen him on a Teams call probably once every 2 weeks where we talk about things and next steps. And I think we're moving pretty fast compared to, I think, in the past in regards to some of these items. If you understand the process of historic preservation, a lot of the items have to go through Maryland Historic Trust first before we can even start the process. And this presentation that we're putting together now is one of the first steps in approaching the trust and then getting to the point where we can put out the right RFP and making sure that everything follows that process. So, Mr. Parker, is there anything that I've missed today or anything that I need to present that I haven't presented in regards to the Boswick
Can I
House?
say something real
Sure.
quick?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Well,
Mr. Burr.
we're
Thank
gonna have you to stand
Can
right up
just
over there.
Come up. Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And before you say something, let me say, because you all have been working with us for a very long time, and we appreciate it, and really excited, to see that, we're still pushing the ball, down the road, up the road, in the basket. So very excited. And thank you for coming. Mm-hmm.
I just want to say Susan McCutcheon and Steve Whites are on the board of the Amen Trust, so they're here with us today. I just want to set a framework. Boswick was built in 1746. It's at the founding of the town of Bladensburg. And it's, of course, a historic site, and a lot of things that Michelle mentioned today have to do with how we physically restore the building. And because it's a historic site, it's on the National Register of Historic Places, that sets the framework and the ground, the direction we have to go in restoring the building, the physical.
Oh, is it your,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, you're gonna have to start over.
Oh, I'm
you
so
weren't, we were picking you up probably on my mic, and I'll mute
For the
myself.
public.
Okay,
For the
thanks.
public.
I want to
Yes.
introduce Susan McCutcheon and Steve Whites, who are on the board of the Amen Trust. They're here with me today. And I really want to say that we are very, very enthusiastic about working with the town. Like you said, the things have started to move and progress very expeditiously. I did mention that The Bostwick was built in 1746, which is at the beginning of the town of Bladensburg, and it is on the National Register of Historic Places. And what we're doing now is we are following the guidelines that are necessary for restoring a historic site, the physical building, stabilizing it, and getting it to the point where we know what should be done to restore and improve Bostwick. And the national, because we're a historic site, we have certain guidelines we have to follow. That's what we're doing. But that's one part of it. What I wanted to mention is that we're doing this to make this a very positive, shining light for the community. Community activities, community use, as well as it being kind of a extremely important historic site for the county, for the state of Maryland, and it's also part of our national history. So you have a gem here, and it's not just the physical restoration that's important. That's a piece of it. It's again, like I mentioned, how then does the community use the Bostwick property is what we're trying to get to. And the other part of it is how do we interpret the history of Bostwick? It's a complicated history, and that interpretation is just as important as the physical building itself. All of that works together, and we want to be part of helping the town get to the end. And the end, I want to stress, is not just the physical restoration of the building. It's all the things that will determine how it's used and how it's interpreted for not only the citizens of Bladensburg, also but of the rest of the state. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we're in it for that whole picture and trying to help the town get to see that whole picture and not just the physical piece of it. But we have to do that first. That's a major importance, and also we have to follow, as Michelle said, the very strict guidelines for a building of that stature and of that age. So that's all I want to say. Any questions, specific questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Are there any questions from the council? So, but you know, and thank you for that, Mr. Parker, because as you know, as I've said, we've been working on this restoration, and as you said, the external is just as and the internal is just as important as the external. But you have to definitely get the external, piece done. I'm just glad to see that we're on a trajectory of really, putting some work
Right.
behind it, because it's needless. I mean, it's long overdue.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
we've been talking we've been talking for a while. So but the good part is that the process is moving along. Yeah, thank you to our town administrator as well, Mrs. Bailey Hedgepath, and thank the board members, Amen and Trust board members. So look forward to getting some additional information, getting some timelines,
Right.
and moving this along.
Yeah.
So thank you so very much.
Yeah,
for
and
your
I do want to
presentation.
thank Michelle. She's been a tremendous help, along with Public Works folks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I was like, I think we'd be remiss from the standpoint that not recognize Mr. Hall and the work that his team does and the day-to-day maintenance stuff that we have to deal with. I'll call him and say, there's a boiler that and you got to help. So it's a labor of love for all of us.
Yes.
So thank you. And then and part of this council item will get you the timeline that you're looking for, and we can give you a more definitive answer on the small stabilization stuff within a couple of months.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next, update on Annapolis Road crossing and pedestrian safety. Our wonderful chief, Collington.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, community, colleagues. I am Chief Collington, as stated. I would like to just provide a update on two incidents that happened on Annapolis Road recently. And also just remind drivers that the posted speed limit on Annapolis Road is 30 miles per hour. And we want to remind everyone that school is back in session, and be on the lookout for our little ones, our parents, and our pedestrians, but most importantly, our seniors that may not be moving as fast as a lot of the young folks are moving, to slow down and look out for our senior citizens as they cross the street to catch mass transportation or just to get to the other side. And we want to remind everyone that public safety is the responsibility of everyone, the drivers, our pedestrians. Just don't assume that because you're in a crosswalk that the driver coming is going to stop. So let's not take anything for granted, because it's your body against a 3,000-pound object, and and the object is going to win every time. Within our town, we have 6,500 students walking to and from school, and we want to remind everyone to be cautious, slow down, give yourself some extra travel time when you're heading to work or just driving along throughout the community. Just give yourself some extra time to get there safely. Additionally, Route 450 and 202, where it comes at that fork, that is a major thoroughfare to get down to Washington, D.C., BW Parkway, Route 50, and it's a heavily traveled road, especially in the morning times during rush hour. And we know that we're in daylight savings time, so it's a little darker when you're out trying to go to work. And we want to remind our drivers to slow down and just be cautious out there when you're traveling. Next slide, please. Next slide. Oh, there you go. So the first incident we want to talk about is on October the 18th at approximately 6:58 a.m., a 73-year-old female was attempting to cross Annapolis Road to board a metro bus to head to work. One car slowed down to allow her to pass, and she attempted to cross the roadway when she was struck by a speeding vehicle that failed to remain on the scene. Struck Ms. Fatuja and left her mortally wounded in the middle of Route 450. At this same time, we had students heading to school, which had to see this unfortunate incident, as well as other motors that were out there and pedestrians walking. This driver did not remain on the scene, as stated, and continued on. So our police department got notified. We responded to the scene along with Prince George's County Police and our fire department. They attempted life-saving measures, but unfortunately, Ms. Fatuja succumbed to her injuries. I want to commend our Bladensburg Police Department in this investigation, an agency of this size to go out and conduct basically a death investigation. I want to commend them. This investigation is going extremely well. We were hoping to bring this to closure at the time of Ms. Fatuja's memorial service, but we understand that everything's a process, search warrants, subpoenas, and things like that, getting records back, getting data back. So the investigation is going extremely well, and we are confident that we will be bringing this to a successful conclusion in the near future. But we do ask anyone that may have been out there on October the 18th around 6:58 a.m., if you were traveling that roadway and you saw something, or if you may have heard about something, to please contact us. And you can reach us at 301-864-6080. And if you can see the bottom of that map that I put in the slide there, that is an extremely dangerous curve right there, is where the red drop is. That is where the incident occurred. So we just want to remind everyone that go up. It may be to your advantage to take a couple extra steps to walk up to the traffic light and to cross with the traffic light, especially that time of morning. Okay, you go to the next slide there. Okay, I want to give an update on the second incident. On November the 6th, on November the 6th at approximately 6:25 p.m., a 27-year-old male collided with a truck in the 4900 block of Annapolis Road. This was an adult male, was not a town resident, was traveling at a high rate of speed, driving a dirt bike. He was not wearing a helmet. He was wearing dark clothing, and he did not have his headlights activated on the bike. And he collided with a oncoming truck that made a turn because he could not see him. And due to the high rate of speed and without a helmet, he sustained some serious injuries, and he succumbed to his death on Thursday, November the 8th. So some traffic solutions to help reduce pedestrian and motor vehicle safety. As a result of Ms. Fatuja's incident, our mayor and council, along with Senator Malcolm Augustine, our county council member Jolene Ivey, contacted Maryland State Highway Administration along with Ms. Hedgepat. So we've been working with them to come up with some possible solutions, whether we need to move the bus stop closer down to a traffic intersection, improve lighting, install some traffic calming devices. I've had a conversation with Mayor Pro Tem Brown in reference to putting a fixed speed camera up there. It would slow cars down, but we want to make sure that we're just paying attention. We're following, the posted speed limit out there. This is a project that's going to take some time because, again, as you saw on the map, the previous map, there is a lot of blind spots out there on that curve. And then with daylight savings, it's dark that time of morning, and people are going to work. And as Ms. Fatuja was 73 years old, trying to cross the street on a 4-lane highway to get to the other side to catch a metro bus. So we just want to remind everybody about that. We did put out a public announcement electronic board reminding everyone to look out for pedestrians crossing the street, as well as to slow down and look out for our students walking back and forth. We increased traffic enforcement out there on Route 450 to educate drivers to slow down when you're driving out there. And this is also, again, we're working closely with State Highway Administration to make sure that we address the issues out there, whether it's lighting, moving the bus stop, putting some type of traffic calming device out there along with our speed cameras. And that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Are there any questions from the council? So, Chief, like I said, thank you so very much. And we, as you stated, and I don't want to just kind of rehash or reiterate everything that you said, but as you stated, we are meeting with SHA, with PEPCO, and even Councilmember Ivy's office, our town administrator, Mrs. Hedgepeth, and so that we can look at some short-term and long-term goals, and so we can look at some short-term and long-term goals, because it's very important that we have adequate lighting, traffic calming devices, and also with WMATA, I think you mentioned as well with WMATA, maybe even possibly moving the bus stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that corner is very dark. I would definitely want to commend the police, our officers and our staff with just coming to the aid of Miss Fatugo on that morning, and really any public safety issues or concerns that happened here in the town of Bladensburg. And we did have hold the visual for Mrs. Fatugo on November the 1st. So condolences again to her family, and I'm just and I know that our police department will bring that driver to justice who fled the scene. And so, once again, just want to commend, and we will continue to have meetings regarding public safety. We're going to start also having a month. It's either going to be every 2 months or quarterly, where we will start our Saturday meetings again with the community, and really with I think this is one of the good areas, and that's to start with the public safety, with the lighting, with the traffic calming devices and things of those nature. So thank you so very much for that report, and and okay, that's what I have. But thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Okay, so next on the agenda, we have updates on town events and projects by our town administrator, Mrs. Bailey Hedgepeth.
Hello again. Good evening, everyone. So, Mayor James asked that we would put to kind of give everybody some of the great things that are happening around town. So I wanted to kind of, one, rehash some of the information that's in our monthly reports. So I don't have to give it at the end again, but I will give it several times. But we were talking today specifically about the Boswick House, and that, again, that collaborative nature that we've been working with the Ammon Trust on moving projects forward in regards to the stabilization. Another note, an idea, and something of note is that the town will be applying for CDBG funds, which are the community block grant funds from the county. That process starts it actually closes in December. Both myself and Mr. Hall are looking at roadways and sidewalks that need to be replaced and repaired in the town. And so you'll be seeing that and it's part of your next agenda items to write a resolution of support. But we will provide a final update of what we submit for the community block grants as part of our normal reporting. We had a visit by Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller on October 17th, and the mayor's report, she details that meeting. I ended up meeting her along with some of the other town administrators in the area of the port towns and the mayors. We provided the Lieutenant Governor with a list of our projects that we've been looking at for different types of state funding. The town highlighted the need for a new town hall and public safety facility. We've also submitted information in regards to some money for grants from the MEA and from other so MEA is the Maryland Energy Administration. We talked to the Department of Transportation in regards to some issues at the Peace Cross. We also discussed information in regards to the town's other needs with the Department of Natural Resources in regards to flooding and some major flood channel projects with the port towns in general. So I think that was a really good program. We have an event that's coming up when I report on the election. We have a swearing-in ceremony on December the 5th where we will welcome our new council member, and Councilwoman Blunt will be sworn in again for her second term. We'd like to invite every resident to come on out for that. That same week before, we have Yule Log on December 1st, which I hear is a great program, and I'm excited about it. This year is the Polar Express. So we're going to show the movie, The Polar Express, but I think it's going to be the theme of our whole location. We also have two really good giveaways in regards to, we know that families are struggling during the holidays. So we have a Thanksgiving program that is going to take place at Bladensburg High School. There are still some spots. We have about probably about 100 spots left for people to sign up for. That information is on Facebook, and it's also on the town's website to register. It's going to be on the 18th of November, so it's this Saturday. And then the following one will be on the 9th of December, and they're both at Bladensburg High School from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And so we'll have some high school students and community residents volunteering their time to help others in needs. And so if you know people that are in need, we will be giving away a turkey dinner in regards to a full turkey and a family, to feed a family of 4 to 6. I will also, Mr. Parker left, but CCAR is another one of our partners, and they have a tree planting project for town residents to increase the tree canopy. Chesapeake Bay Trust has this program that is trying to get Prince George's County residents to add trees to their front yard. The town has been working in a couple areas. If you see around Town Hall, you can see that we've added some trees along the perimeter of our facility, and also along in certain areas. You can get a free tree that will be maintained for 2 years, either by CCAR or Joe's Movement. And if you do need that, please email. You can always email clerk at Town of Bladensburg, so that we can then forward any information to you. But it's also part of our news blast. Just for my own sake, we do need people on the green team. So if you would like to help us as we reform that green team, please email myself or to clerk, because I get that too. I get a lot of the emails here, but if you are interested, please let us know. Some of the last items is that I did not want to be remiss and not mention the senior gala on December 6th. Councilwoman Blunt has been working really hard on that, and do you want to say the theme, Councilwoman? Because I don't want to steal your glory. Oh, you got to put on your no. I'll let you do it. How about you got to hit your little thing so you can talk about the theme? Yeah, huh? I thought it was the King and Queen stuff, isn't it?
Oh, well, no, that's just a part of the activity.
Oh, is that part of the activity? But I was like, would you just tell us a little bit more about it? I think we're working on an exciting program for seniors. I think that it's every year it's getting more and more, more and more glamorous and more of an event of the season. I think it's going to be on the social calendar of every person in the town of Bladensburg eventually. So I just think it's a really good opportunity. It's from 11 to 2 p.m. at the Bladensburg Recreation Center. And then I think that's pretty much.
Mrs.
Yes.
Bailey Hedgebeth, council member.
Okay.
Yeah, go
She's
ahead.
going to talk a little bit about
Come
it.
on, go ahead.
Yes, it's for seniors, 62 years or older, at the Bladensburg Community Center. It's just a good event where seniors can get together and just mingle, do their thing. We have some surprises. We have a lot of giveaway, and we can't wait to crown Miss Bladensburg and Mr. Bladensburg. We do have that. We have a singer, a surprise singer coming. DJ Thunder. I mean, just come on down. Get out the house. Well, the dress you can wear silver, blue, or white, or you could just come as is. I mean, you want to dress to impress, of course. You never know what you might catch. I'm just saying. I'm not going to go into it. Yes, so just come to impress. You just never know. Have your dancing shoes on. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that I'm able to see this dream come alive, where Bladensburg seniors are just mingling together. It's so beautiful. I have so many more projects coming up, but please let us know that you want to come to the senior gala. Call Ray. He's taking I think we have enough for 150, And Emerson House and Parkview and Newton Green, you know, they are prime people all around the seniors and the houses. But we need the houses to respond because it's not like we can leave a thing there for a sign-up sheet. So please, the houses, please respond, please respond. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that, Councilmember Blunt.
And finally, I just have one more reminder in regards to things that are going on in the town. The security camera reimbursement program, this was a program that was started in regards to making sure that we could help people make their houses more secure through the Ring camera. I don't want to say it has to be Ring camera, but it can be any kind of doorbell cameras. We provide a reimbursement up to $500, 50 in each ward. And we really like to see people utilize this. Chief, do you have anything to say? Because I mean, I know that this is a big public safety thing, and I just want to kind of hand that off to you, but I wanted to highlight that as well.
Thank you, Ms. Belly Hedgepeth. Yes, we would like
Hey,
to
Chief,
strongly
it's
encourage
hyphenated
all of our
for a
residents
reason.
to participate in the security camera program. We can't stress enough how important video evidence is to us in solving cases. So we would strongly encourage everyone to take advantage of this program, not just to help us, but also to even protect your own home. So we want to make sure that everyone get on board, and you can easily get on board by going to community services, md.gov, and then contact us, and we will make sure that we will assist you.
Thank you so very much for that, Chief. Thank you, Mrs. Bailey Hedgepeth. I was like, Chief, it's hyphenated for a reason, okay? So you always have to say the hyphenated name, okay? And so now we at item number 5. Mrs. Hedgepeth, I'll just highlight what we're going to review during the session, because once we come to the session, you'll be able to expound on them, and you just finished doing a lot of talking, so I don't mind just highlighting the review of the agenda items for the for the regular work session. And we definitely want our residents to chime in, because the town administrator, Mrs. Bailey Hedgepeth, she will go into detail regarding these items, unless, well, so the first one is the contract approval 8/2024, and it's approval to allow the town administrator to execute a contract with William K. Wood for architectural services for the Boswick House. As a matter of fact, Mrs. Bailey Hedgepeth had just made some references to that earlier during her presentation. And second is a contract approval 9/2024, and that's approval to allow the town administrator to execute a contract with Modelex. Is it Modelex? Mid-Atlantic for gateway and town signage in the amount not to exceed $21,228.22. $21,228.22. Next, we have the contract approval 10/2024, approval to allow the town administrator to enter to an agreement with the State of Maryland Office of Broadband Services for the 2023 Maryland Connected Devices Grant Program. And next, we'll discuss Resolution 1-2024, a resolution authorizing the town administrator to apply to the Prince George's County Department of Housing and Community Development on behalf of the town of Bladensburg for the Community Development Block Grant funding. So that's the CDBG, and I'm sure that you all are familiar with that. And that's for PY 50 for infrastructure projects, for example, roadways and sidewalks. And lastly is Resolution 2-2024, a resolution authorizing the town administrator to apply to Chesapeake Bay Trust on behalf of the town of Bladensburg for the Prince George's County Stormwater Stewardship Grant program funding for town projects. Now, for that particular one, because we have a few minutes here, we may have some residents who may not be able to attend our town meeting. So you want to just talk a little bit about a couple of these?
Sure, Councilwoman. So,
Thank you.
the last item, which is the Chesapeake Bay Trust Stormwater Program, we're actually looking at a couple of possibilities for this funding. One of the possibilities is looking at changing impervious pavement, which are, like regular asphalt, to pervious pavers in some areas of the town to reduce stormwater runoff. This grant particularly deals with storm runoff and things that help to promote less of it. The other part of what we are also looking at is a innovative program in which we would like to work with WMATA in replacing, or actually not replacing, adding bus shelters that have green roofs. That if you've noticed, some of our residents are sitting on the sidewalk. And so I'd like to add benches and places where people can actually sit, and we can have a green roof there for them on high traffic areas, especially on Annapolis Road. So working with those property owners to create bus shelters, and we would request 2 of these green bus shelters that would be funded by the county. So those are the 2 projects that we're probably looking at. We're also, I think it's open. We're also looking at, there is another grant from Chesapeake Bay Trust that just opened up, and it's due in December, so it may not be on, and we may have to come after it, but it may come to the council after we've applied, but it's in regards to flood mitigation and flood planning. So we are going to be providing application in regards to that, in regards to our drainage areas, and to some of our, actually to kind of complement the program that's going to be done by the county, but to look at some areas in our industrial area that have some flood areas as well. So we're keeping our eyes open for different grant opportunities, and as they come up, what you'll see moving forward is that we will ask for the council to do a resolution of support for the applications, and then provide items probably following it once we have grant executions, so you'll see that the connected devices grant that I think that Councilwoman mentioned earlier is a grant that we applied for connected devices. And what are those connected devices? They're going to be laptops that are going to be provided for very low income residents. We're going to get 50 of them. You have to be under the poverty level, and you have to qualify by certain things. You have to be on some type of public assistance, or your child has to have free or reduced lunch. But there was 1 per household, and there will be Chromebooks that will be given for free to these households. This is from the department, and I'll go back to that slide again, is from Maryland Department of the Broadband Services and Connected Maryland Device Program. There's about $30 million that DCHD, which is the Department of Housing and Community Development, is giving to different entities. This is a joint grant with the other port towns. The port town managers and myself applied, so that there'll be a total of 125 between Edmonston, Colmar Manor, Cottage City, and Bladensburg. So that's just to kind of give some more information on that one.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yes, and we'll talk more about it during our town meeting as well. So we're at this point of the meeting where it's adjournment. But before we adjourn, I would also like to remind the residents in terms of who have tuned in regarding the opera funding. So there's still an opportunity for the residents, business owners to apply for the opera funding, and so that's what I have. So now I'll call for the vote. So motion to adjourn the meeting.
I so moved.
So moved by Councilman Blunt.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any abstentions or discussion? We'll hear none. All in the favor of aye. All in the favor. Let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned. We'll see you all back at 7 o'clock.